Hey everybody, I want to welcome you to another episode of The Other Side of the Story, where we bring to you life-changing stories to inspire you, really to motivate you and encourage you no matter where you are on your journey. So much more to come. Today we're so excited to have that type gentleman with us, Jason Patridge. I've known Jason for several years. He is 20 years in the barbering business, owner or co-owner of three barbershops, Old World Barbershop, Perry, one around was in Macon, and just doing great things with his life. He owns three businesses. He's a personal product representative of a major tool company in the barbering business, Coco. And the man is just traveling the country, teaching high level education, master barber. But I'm telling you what, you can look at his life, a success, but there is a story behind the story that we want to talk about in his life. So, Jason, we're excited to have you.
Oh man, appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me, man. Yeah, like I said, I'm Jason Patridge. I'm from Warner Robins, born and raised. Went to Northside High School. I would have graduated in '05, but life took its turn, so wasn't able to complete that part of the journey, which is okay, because now where we're at now is I'm super happy to be where I'm at now. So without that type of journey, I don't think I would have been able to be in the position that I'm in today.
Well, first of all, I know we have the connections. I went to Northside also.
Yeah.
So we're fellow Eagles, brother.
Yeah, and then my parents, they went to school with
Yes.
you.
Yes, so we have a lot of connections.
Yeah, so my mom, she went to school with you, and that's how I, became so informative about the church that you were doing. Because I remember back when you started Hope Church,
Yes.
and it was all from the ground, and my mom was like, "I know that guy," and this the story that you have is amazing for sure.
Yeah. So we appreciate that, man. Thank God that you're here, because you have so much to tell and so much to share with people. I really know it's going to help them.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's talk about really when you got to a point where you felt, I'm going to drop out of high school.
So, man, as much as I can remember as an adolescent, man, I felt like I was mad a lot. Like there was a lot of anger built up. And that's probably why I ended up in the boxing gyms and some other stuff, type of sports, high contact sports, because I was always angry, and I'm not sure why that is. And I've been to therapy a few times, and I think it has a lot to do with just being raised by my mom and not having an outlet, and her trying to give me outlets, as a kid, but she don't really know what she needs to do. And so as a young man, you're starting to realize that the type of things that she was teaching you just wasn't aligned with everything that you knew that you should be doing, because a mom can only do so much, right? And so in school, I just remember just not wanting to do nothing. Like I didn't have people around me to say that, hey, if you complete this and you do this, then you can have this. I didn't really have that. And so everybody that I was around, school was like being lame. If you were still in school, you was lame. So all the people that I was around that was 5, 6 years older than me, anytime I'd be like, oh, I gotta go to school today. And they'd be like, bro, why are you in school? Like school is for lames and all that stuff. And so I think that happened mainly because the people I was around, and everybody just kind of didn't really support school. And then what kid wants to go to school? What kid wants to follow rules? You know what I mean? And if all you had to do was break rules at home, where they didn't want you to be at home, so then you could live on your own, then you didn't have no rules. And so that was about around the time where I was kind of getting kicked out of my mom's house. And so she didn't really support what I did, you know what I mean, outside of school. And then that's when I started to move in with my dad.
Yeah.
And my dad, he's real relaxed, not many rules, just kind of come in, go as you please type thing. My mom, she's super strict, she didn't play the radio. And so I ended up moving in with my dad, and then that resulted in me not really caring about school at all.
Okay. Well, really, you said a couple of things there that is so even prevalent now, is people around the wrong influence, wrong connections in life that led maybe to some decisions that influenced you, peer pressure.
Exactly.
In that way. Then not having your dad in your life as you needed him probably at times, being separated or being apart from him.
Right.
It's really a challenge even today.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
What started you, I'm going to cut hair. I mean, you're a teenager. So what started you thinking along that line, man?
So honestly, man, my mom's house was beside a barbershop, And all the barbers, they drove these fancy cars, and then I thought that they bought the fancy cars from barber money. So this whole time I thought that that's how they made their money. But doing some more research and paying attention a little bit more, they were like, doing some things in the streets, selling drugs or whatever they were doing in order to obtain these fancy vehicles. Well, we kind of the same. We was in the same environment, so we were all doing the same thing. And so then I learned that the barbers was actually being barbers so they could actually show legitimate cash flow in order so they could stay out in the free world without the police coming after them about all the cash that's in the pocket. And so I started looking at barbering as if like, oh, it's quick cash, it's a hustle. I only had like one pair of shoes the whole school year, so I was like, well, maybe if I make some money, then I can buy as many pair of shoes as I want. And now I have too many shoes. I can't even wear them because I have a weird thing about shoes, but probably because I couldn't have them when I was little.
Right.
But yeah, so that basically led me into looking into barbering as a way I could hustle another hustle. Because we was already doing hustles, but these hustles couldn't be talked about really, because you get locked up and go to jail and all that stuff. But you're doing whatever you possibly could based off of whatever all the older people were doing around you, because that's the only option you really had, because that's the only option that was available. So we didn't have like think about having jobs because the money was coming in so fast. Like, why would you go have a job? You know what I mean? When you have to wait for 2 weeks for your money. So the barbering was just another hustle added to the repertoire, and it just allowed me to basically, be a little bit more frugal. I mean, it gave me a little bit more stability and finances, and then it kept cash in my pocket all the time.
It's amazing that you made that decision at that younger age. How old were you then?
I was probably 15, 14, wow. 15, because me and my mom, we started butting heads around 12 or 13. And then that's when she was like, all right, you keep doing this and you're going to be out of here. And so I kept doing it. And so I was out of there. So I probably moved out of my mom's probably like 15, 16. I was in and out, back and forth, as the years went on.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have stability, you know what I mean? You go out there, you get fall on your face. Mom, I need help, you know what I mean? And you'd always come back. So I would say that I started thinking for myself mostly around that age, about 14 or 15, because the people that I was around, 18, 19, 20, and so they were much older than me. So they were already more established as far as like financially. And so, at that, I say financially now, it's a completely different definition now than it was then. But financially then was like being able to go to the store and buy whatever, buy a Coca-Cola without having to count the change, because we did that for so many years. If we wanted a Coca-Cola, we had to dig in our pockets to get change, just to get a drink.
So you're starting a business, really. You're starting
a
business.
For sure. Not knowing.
That's right, because your mentality, you're learning, I'm going to hustle.
Yeah.
I'm going to survive. I'm going to do what it takes.
And you stay consistent on your hustle, man.
Yeah.
And, at that time, I didn't realize how much consistency you applied to the hustle would eventually turn into something major. But at the time, man, you just kind of trying to consistently keep money in your pocket.
So let's talk about, you start cutting hair, and I saw, where you started really in your front yard. You're cutting hair in your front yard, man.
My mom hated me for cutting hair.
What made you like look at that and go, is there a point at this journey right now you feel like, man, I feel passionate about this. I feel like this is what I'm going to do. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so in school, man, I didn't do very well in school because I was always doodling. Art class, I'm flying colors in art class because my artistic ability. I always loved to draw. I've always been interested in being a tattoo artist because I like art. I like painting and stuff like that, drawing. And so whenever I remember going to the barbershop and seeing a barber like draw like some designs in this kid's head. And I thought that was the coolest thing. And then I went back home, and then that night, there was a red carpet event of Kanye West walking down the red carpet event. He had clouds or something in his head. And I thought that was the coolest thing. I was like, whoa, that was the first time I realized that you could draw in people's hair. And then like growing up, like straight hair and coarse hair is different. Those type of shops are completely different. So when you went to a coarse hair shop, you see tape lines and lineups and all that stuff versus the straight hair shop, you're only going to get like military haircuts. Anyways, I watched them do that, and then I was like, man, I think I can do that. So I actually started drawing haircuts on paper before I even cut hair, just so I could just get a visual of what it is. And then I remember I went to the barbershop and I'm like, man, how you do that right there? He's like, oh, you just take this clipper and take the edge of it and do like this. And then I remember I went to Walmart and bought a clipper that was kind of just like what that clipper was. And then I started like messing up everybody's haircuts. Like I remember in my mom's kitchen, that's why I said she hated me for it, because she did not like hair in her kitchen. Nobody likes hair in their kitchen, right? But I was steadily pumping them in, pumping them out, because we was in a trailer. So the kitchen, is not very big. I'm having one side of the kitchen, and she had the other side.
So you're creating your business in a trailer.
Yeah, exactly. And so then that's basically what had me so interested in cutting hair, was the artistic side of it.
Yeah.
And then that's when I was like, I loved it. And then that's when I really started drawing in hair before I actually did like regular haircuts, because the drawing portion is what kind of gravitated me towards this whole profession. And then I found a passion in it. And then I realized, then I was like hanging out at the barbershops, and then people would walk out the barbershop with crooked tape lines. And then I have a symmetrical vision when it comes to like drawing and stuff like that, and I want everything to be the same. So I would stop them and be like, bro, your line's crooked. So then I'd take them to my mom's house and fix them. And then I found like a passion within that part of it, like giving people what they want, making people feel good about what I'm doing, and then making it where I was doing something that nobody else was really doing in my area. And then not to mention, I was the only like white guy that could even do a tape line that was in my area. So if I went and asked somebody randomly, could I cut your hair, and he had coarse hair, he was going to tell me no,
right,
based off of the rapport. Like here in the South, everything is still big segregation, what I mean, between these types of barbershops, which we're doing a good job of changing that now. But back then, there wasn't no such thing as a black guy cutting a white guy.
Right.
Or there wasn't no such thing as a white guy cutting a black guy, or even an Asian guy cutting a black. The races have these large, lines in between them. And so, it's changing obviously with the times, but yeah, so that was another big thing. And so for me, I guess that was that's what gravitated me towards barbering, because I knew I was jumping into something that nobody else was really doing. And then I was just soaring so fast. Like my artistic ability gave me the ability to learn it and apply it a lot faster than maybe a regular person, that doesn't really have that much of artistic ability. So I found a natural niche, I guess you could say. And then I just stuck to it. And then what made me stick to it was the money.
Yeah. Well, I think what you created and what will help people even listening to this story is that you had something in you that really is for all of us that nobody else had. We're all unique, right? We're all created unique, and we all have something only we can do.
Exactly.
And begin to create that, and begin to open doors for you.
Right.
So when did you get into the, I could lack a better word, old world barbershop or the organized barbershop?
So let's fast forward.
Out of your trailer.
Yeah, for sure. So I actually rented another trailer in Red Fox Run, and I had a barbershop in that trailer once my mom didn't let me cut hair in the house anymore. And so I did that. But let's fast forward a little bit. I've been cutting hair, let's see, about 10 years, 9 to 10 years. I was in a salon because the barbershops just weren't managing their business properly, because I had so many clients. I had got to a point where I had so many clients that I was losing the most important clients because I couldn't manage my time very well. And so all barbershops, they didn't know how to manage time. And that's why when you go into public and you ask two random people, who makes more money, the barber or the hairstylist? And that person's going to tell you the hairstylist all day long. But all it has to do with is management. That's it. Time management and money management. That's why I ended up at the salon, because I thought the stylists were making more money. Because the barbershop I was in, they get to a certain point, you know what I mean? And they're still hiding their taxes, not paying taxes or whatever. It's still hustle. And so they wouldn't let me organize my book, so I didn't have the ability to do appointments. And so that's why I ended up at the salon. And so that's when I got to the salons, when I really understood what business management means.
So you really transitioned that from point to getting business minded.
Exactly, because the stylists that were around me, they were business minded. Okay. And it's not owning a barbershop or a salon, but it's just the business of barbering or the business of styling. You know what I mean? And so that's when I learned the importance of professionalism, customer service, and all these other things.
So it started teaching you like excellence.
Oh yeah, how to talk, talk differently.
Yeah.
Like customer service. When I answered the phone, they had a skit that you would have to go over on the phone. And if you had a bad day that day, and you couldn't have the same energy that you had the previous day, then you wasn't allowed to answer the phone. And that was huge for me because I didn't really realize how important that was. Because I come from an area where we talk real urban, we're using like slang, urban mannerisms, we're not really, utilizing our communication as much as we possibly can. And so them girls really taught me about image, how important image was, which was the professionalism, and the communication was the customer service. And so then that's when my partner now, he came in, got his haircut, and he was like, I need somebody like you on my team. And then I was like, well, I can't jump right now because he needed me to sacrifice about half of what I had, which I couldn't do. I was too comfortable. At this point, I was making $150K a year.
Yeah.
In a salon, working, full-time shifts. So I was doing very, very well.
Yeah.
And so then he was like, well, I want to start something that's going to change the barbershop world. And everybody comes with gimmicks, everybody's got the new idea. Everybody's got this. And I've heard it so many times. And so I was like, well, if you can make that happen, man, that'll change the game. And so that's when about the salon owner came to me and asked me if I wanted to buy the salon for myself. I never really seen myself own a salon. And so I basically started going over to his location to see how they ran business. Because the next barbershop I worked at, like, I didn't jump around a bunch of different barbershops. Like, I very strategically, because the people that are paying me money, I don't want to lose them. And so I spent about 6 months training all my old clientele, letting them know that I'm going to be moving over here to this barbershop. And then this barbershop gave me what you call equity opportunity. And so he was like, basically laid out a list of stuff. Like, you complete this, and this, and then you can start your own business and have your own equity. And so before I met him and understood, because he went to business school, he went to college, tech school and all that stuff. He learned business and all that. I didn't graduate high school. I barely got a GED.
So let's I'm going to go back on that for a second.
Yeah, for sure.
Because this is a great teaching moment right here. So you drop out of high school, you start in our front yard, you're in a trailer, you're opening another trailer. It's just an amazing journey, man.
Yeah, that's before
you go
the
to a salon,
yeah.
You're in that, you're comfortable.
Yeah.
But one thing about you that I think everybody needs to hear is the excellence and want to do things right. That could be taught today, right? In so many places of business, you see where people, customer service is terrible, right, these days.
Yeah, for sure.
So understanding the importance of that led to an opportunity.
Exactly.
Opportunity for your life to be changed.
Yeah. How do you go to the next step? Because there's always a next step to what you're doing. There's never not a next step.
That's good.
And then I always say to all of my barbers, I said, it's either you're going forward or you're going backwards. That word of stagnant, it shouldn't even exist, because in that term of the conversation, because it's either you're going forward or if you're going backwards. Because if you stand still, you're going backwards. Yeah. Because there's people that is looking for the next step, and they can be 3 steps ahead of you, And so it's just very important to always have the next thing and understand like the how things change and the evolution of everything, because you got to move with the times. Move with the times.
So you're a person that's willing to change.
For sure.
Person that's willing to grow. Speak on for a second about the importance of a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset.
Yeah, and that's big, because honestly, that's something I had to teach myself, because my parents don't have a growth mindset, but that's because that's the education as a whole. A lot of people that come from poverty, they don't have the opportunity to talk to these people that are way successful, because so what that does is it creates a fixed mindset. And then I call it the broke people mindset, is where, you're only stuck on one way, and that's the only way. And so to me, I failed a lot having a fixed mindset, following these guides, following these standards that I was taught growing up. But honestly, what I was taught was a fixed mindset. And so if you don't want to be where you come from, then you somehow, some way have to change it.
That's good.
And in order to do that, you have to put yourself around people that can help you change it. And so the people around you is imperative on your growth and your mindset. I don't care if you're a self-thinker or whatever. It depends on where you're around and the type of atmosphere you're in. It's what's going to control all that.
It's what's great. Again, it's great about your journey, because you're around a mindset in high school, drop out while you're going to school, the wrong influence. And then you got to around the mindset of business mindset,
Exactly.
doing things right. You know, co-owning business with this guy who taught you some things
No, for
because you were
sure.
open to it.
That
That's just
was huge.
so valuable in life, right?
Nah, that's huge. Because
Yeah,
before I met him, you got to remember, like I was making 150K a year,
yeah,
and around here, that's good.
yeah.
That's a great living.
Mm-hmm.
And so then when I met him, it was almost like I had to have a growth mindset, or his conversation wouldn't even been. I wouldn't even been interested in it.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was telling me, "Hey, I know you're doing this, but if you sacrifice this a little bit, then you could be doing this." And so to even have even have the ability to understand that type of perspective, you have to have the growth mindset. You have to, because
Yeah,
you can't grow if you don't.
yeah.
And then uncomfortability, like you know how many years I was uncomfortable trying to figure out, like there's so many days I'd wake up and be like, why did I make this deal? You know,
Mm-hmm.
why didn't I just take the easy route and just stayed over here? You know
Did you
what I
ever want
mean?
to quit?
Many times.
So what did you do? Tell us how you overcame that, or how do you overcome?
And
If somebody's watching, listening. Hey man, they feel like quitting on their dream, their journey. Feel like quitting on their goals. So what did it take for you to maybe get up those days and not quit?
I would say the love that I have for myself is control those decisions, because the love that I have for myself is so strong that I knew that if I stayed consistent, that it would turn into a habit. And so I had created a lot of habits in my day, and then or back, when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to try to identify, like, how were those habits created? Because eventually you start doing it like muscle memory, like whatever you was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I always like to correlate this with Shaolin. Like I trained with a Shaolin. I fought MMA for several years when I was younger.
Okay.
And they would all like they would make you. And then the movie Karate Kid, the wax on wax
Yeah.
off thing, like it makes so much sense, because like even if you don't feel like waxing on and waxing off, the movement that you have to make, to be uncomfortable when you don't want to do that, is when the growth is actually happening. The growth ain't happening when you're having fun.
Mm-hmm.
The growth is happening when you are ready to quit, when you are ready to stop. That is when the main growth is happening. So if you want to stop your growth, then you stop your movements. And so if you're losing motivation and you want to quit, just think about the love that you have for yourself. Yeah. And if your love is strong enough for yourself, then you know that you owe yourself way more than what you're about to do when you quit.
That's good. So good.
Yeah.
So you're in the journey now, real quick, and you in the business aspect of it. And I read where one of your goals is to retire by the time you get 40.
Oh yeah.
So speak on that for a second about what you see your life as going. Okay, I'm
So
retiring, but really, what does that mean?
yeah, so like I guess, so retiring to me, right, is freedom. Freedom, being able to spend all week with my kid and not have to worry about paying a bill or putting food on the table, because all that stuff's taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
Because like everybody's success is different, right? But my success story is being able to spend every minute that I want with my family, right?
Gives you freedom.
Gives me freedom. Being able to have a bill paid and not have to think about it. Have all my bills on direct deposit.
Mm-hmm.
Retirement for me, that's what retirement is. But then there's another level of retirement. Now the other side of the retirement is the generational wealth side of things. So when I leave, I'll be able to leave my son, a multi-million-dollar business.
Mm-hmm.
And he can sell it and create his own business, or he can run it or then make the business stronger, or whatever he wants to do. Something that I didn't have, you know what I mean? I didn't have any of that. Like my parents are still in the workforce, and so there's no I don't have any trust. And it's funny, man, because like back in the day, we used to make fun of kids that trust fund babies. We used to always say trust fund baby, but now I'm like setting a trust up for my baby. You know what I mean? And so it's like it's different. It's a perspective change. And so now that I've built a business and I have everything that I have now, I will be able to retire by the time I'm 40.
That's good.
And then my dad, he's still working.
Yeah.
And so he don't know this, but like in 10 years, he's gonna think about how he's gonna have to still work, but son's gonna come in there and be like, bro, no, you don't have to work. Just make sure you keep your yard up and all this stuff. You don't have to work. And so that's what I want to do. I want to provide such a huge impact on my family that in 100 years, like I'm gonna be on the wall. be like, Jason changed the generation. He completely changed the whole generation of his family, and now he's put everybody in line to success, so everybody can be free. So we're not stuck behind the man all the time, because that's what happens. You get stuck, and whoever the man you want to call the man is, your workplace or the state or whoever, the government, whoever you want to call it, you're stuck doing that unless you step outside the box, man, and set something up for yourself.
That's good. I'll say this before we get into your business and all that you're doing and your goals and what you still have in you to do. The lessons that we're taking from your life today is this, man. No matter where you come from, no matter where you start, no matter your upbringing, you can change. You can have a growth mindset.
For sure.
You can do greater things in life, and that's in every person, correct?
Exactly.
Hey, and really, matter of fact, Jason's going to show us real life skill on our special guest Chandler Moore today because of what he does, and you'll see some of that. He has been sought after by corporations. Jason, is that right?
Oh, yes, sir.
Being a consultant and being a sponsor.
Yeah.
Tell us about that, man.
So let's talk about the front side of that. Well, let's first identify what that is.
Yeah.
Right? I'm sponsored by a major beauty tool company known as Coco Hair Pro. And they have been leading the beauty industry for the past, 10, 15 years or whatever. And so I'm a sponsored educator with them. And then I am an international educator for myself because I have my own brand as well.
What made you start your own brand? What was in you to go, you know what? I got something in me, man, create.
So first, it's based off of influence. So everything that I've done outside of the barbershop has increased my influence. Like no matter where I've been, who I've seen, who I've been around, the type of influence, the educational influence that I have. And so everybody's always asking, where can I find you? How do I see you? Obviously they can follow my social media pages and all that, right?
Right.
But what's the next step to that? Like after I complete that part of it, then what's the next step? And so the next step to that, if you look at any business, is branding. And so then you gotta have branding for yourself, because then whenever you're somewhere like at an event or something and your name is being talked about, you want a brand to kind of be married to that name. And so that's when you can develop more of an influence based off of building a brand.
Right.
And so then after you figure out that's what you need to do, then I had this beard, and then everybody always asked me like, what do you put in your beard? What do you put in your beard? And so I would put all these different products in there, and then I realized like, well, anytime you open up a small business, you open it up in hopes to fix a problem, right?
Yeah.
And so my problem was I didn't have anything to give nobody to put in their beard. I had to send them to a store to buy their own beard stuff.
Right.
And so then I was like, well, I wonder how hard it would be to make my own product. So one of my clients, he owns a multi-million-dollar product line called Pure Tropics. Really good friend of mine. He basically opened his warehouse to me, and then we created a beer product. And then here we are. I have my own beer product line, shampoo, conditioner. It's called THE. It's an acronym for True Hair Experience. And so I created that. Basically explains just what it is. Like anytime you deal with me, whether it's a haircut, whether it's haircut education, whether it's hair products, whether it's hair tools, or whatever the case is, anything that has to do with hair is going to be the true experience.
Yeah.
And so that's where I came up with the true hair experience. And I'll be opening up some salons, and it'll be named The Salon too. So there's some other things in the pipeline for that.
Yeah, that's great.
Sir, yeah.
Well, that just shows, and again, it's teaching us, and we're listening to how you're seeing opportunity within your vocation or opportunity within your business.
Right.
That you was willing to take a risk, right?
That's all it's about.
Was there a fear of going, you know what, man, what if this fails, the product doesn't go? Tell us about that.
The first couple times, yes.
Yeah.
It's a fear that cannot be shaken.
Yeah.
You can't shake it.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is you just have to, this goes back to what I was saying earlier. You just have to stay consistent. And if you stay consistent, you don't have time to think about the feelings that come with it.
Mm-hmm.
If you stay on the money, like you stay to your guns, then you know this feeling over here is a sub feeling. You know what I mean? That's like in the back of your mind. So if it's easier said than done, but I would say that the first 5 or 6 times it was like, oh my God, it's so scary. But now I've done it so much that if it's not scary, it feels weird.
That's good.
And so if the risk ain't big enough and I'm not scared enough, then it's not worth it. I don't even want to take it because it's gonna be it's gonna be like such a small like return on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the bigger the return, man, the bigger the risk.
Right. Right.
And so now, if it's a small risk, I'm gonna be expecting a small return, and usually I don't like small returns, so I'm gonna like not, give that any energy at all. And so that's what I would say, for somebody that's having trouble with that side of things, just sit down and go over the numbers, man. Make sure your plan is foolproof.
Yeah.
Keep turning to.
Well, I think that's, again, it speaks to us because we all have fears, like you said. I think a lot of times we allow fear to try something to paralyze us and to stop us. We got to overcome the fear, and that's a great lesson. Consistency will help you overcome the fear.
And then man, put yourself around people that's not fearful at all.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody.
Learn how to overcome it, right? They learn
Yeah,
how to
learn how to
push
overcome
through it.
that feeling.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, that is a feeling that we're fighting.
Mm-hmm.
And so, how do you like, if you was to get mad at somebody, how do you fix that feeling? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If somebody made you mad, how do you fix that feeling? What's the process you go through in your head in order to either forget about it or, you know, think about it later on, or even just wash it out of your head, or even compartmentalize it. However you do, whatever you do to process those feelings, it correlates all the same.
Mm-hmm.
And so whatever that feeling, whatever you did to fix the mad feeling, apply that same type of strategy to the feeling that you have of fear, and then you'll realize that it's all the same when it comes to that. And
That's
so
good.
then you start identifying what even triggered the feeling.
Yeah.
And then you can try to fix it, before it even gets too far. And then a lot of times, man, all the most successful people that I talk to, they don't think, they just do.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a thought about if I'm gonna fail. They just do it.
Yeah.
And if it fails, you pivot. You fail again. And so a lot of the millionaires that I communicate with, pretty consistently now, that's when I call them and ask them about that feeling, they are like, why are you still calling me with this?
Mm-hmm.
Like this is something that you should have you should already master that.
Right.
And so then it goes back to, I'm like, okay, well, they're like, well, what are you doing? Then they go put everything on the table, go over the plan, go over everything that you need to be going over, to make sure it's foolproof.
Yeah.
And then after you made sure it's foolproof, then what do you got to lose?
Yeah. Well, that's teaching us right there. People that are listening and watching that, can't let fear stop you. Fear gives you greater, or overcoming fear gives you greater opportunity,
Man.
which leads to me to ask you this. So opportunities have come your way because you have taken risk. You have been willing to fail. You've learned from that.
Mm-hmm.
But now it got you to a place of higher education, traveling, training other barbers. So speak on that for a minute.
So let's see, for the 2019. 2019, I probably went to Vegas probably 9 times.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just an example of one place.
Right.
I was several places in 2019, but just for example, I went to Vegas in 2019 5 or 6 times on my own dime.
Mm-hmm.
I paid for myself to be there because I was building on an influence. I needed to be in a room where the influencers were.
Building on an influence.
And I knew that was an investment for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like all the flights and stuff that I paid for, all the educational classes that I paid for, and it wasn't me going to learn really too much. It was me going to watch. because I was just trying to be like the other influencers. And so then my influence got so big that now, shops, barbershops, salons all over the world, they pay me to come teach at their salon because I teach, the highest level of education when it comes to cutting hair. And we're not just talking about barbering. Like I also teach hairstylists,
Okay.
and I teach medium to long length hair. So I also teach women's hair too. I just don't do the whole chemical thing. And so for the past 2 years, I've been traveling the world, man. Basically what I call preaching the gospel.
Yeah.
And basically teaching people, especially people that are, they're unfortunate, teaching them that like, it don't matter. Like I did this, if I can do this,
Yeah.
you can do this.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't take rocket science, man. And that's the big thing for me, the impact that I've been able to give while I've been traveling. Is because I've talked to people that, when I have a conversation with them, they have a whole epiphany and they're like, oh my God, I never thought about it like that. And it's just, you always need to push yourself into uncomfortable positions in order to get these type of opportunities. But yeah, I've been traveling about 2 years. I've worked with several different large company brands like 245 is a big brand that I was an educator for them, and that's when my YouTube presence kind of got real popular because they're what you call the YouTube barbers. And so what they were known as is they were known as giving people hair education on YouTube for free. And so that's how because before they existed, everybody, all the educators and stuff charged for every bit of information that you would possibly want. And you had to charge for it. Well, these YouTube barbers, they're like, it's bigger than that. We're trying to make a lifestyle out of it. So if you charge everything that you're doing, you know what I mean? Then you're not gonna grow and your influence is not gonna get as big because you're trying to get a number from it. Which I'm not saying that was the wrong way to do it, but all I'm saying is the strategy that they used gave them the ability to grow so much faster.
Well, you were willing to. You said something a minute ago that everybody needs to hear, and I'll just repeat it. You got to be willing to invest in yourself.
Oh yeah, that's big. That's been the biggest attribute, I guess, that I've created for myself is being able to understand the importance of investing in yourself.
Yeah.
Because there was so many times that like my partner one year, he came to me, he was like, I need a year of yes. And I was like, I don't even know what that means.
A year of yes.
What does that even mean?
Yeah.
He's like, whatever I ask you to do. This is in 2019. This is before that, because let's see, rewind a little bit on that education, travel and stuff. The whole reason I got into that is because I did competitions, and so in barbering there's like competitions that you can go to these different hair expos and basically do haircuts against other barbers around the world.
Wow.
And so then there's like there's big competitions. Well, the biggest competition in the United States is called the CT Barber Expo, and that's like the Super Bowl of barbering. And so if you win that, you know what I mean, like you're considered like the top of the top. And so I went in one year and I won it the first year. I won the main event.
You won the Super Bowl of barber.
Yeah, I don't have the ring on me right now, but
God, man,
it's at the house. But basically, I won a ring. It was like a Super Bowl ring. You've seen it before, I think. It's a gold ring.
Yes.
If you haven't seen it, ask. I usually wear it like on Fridays, but yeah. So I got that, and then that's gave me the ability to put myself in front of people that really respected what I said. Because at first, you're just a barber. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, you cut hair.
Yeah, right.
Everybody cuts hair.
Yeah.
But then when you cut hair at the highest of levels, you know what I mean? That's when
it's a whole different
ball
game.
Conversation starts to change.
Right.
And so so then when I won that's what put me in line with the 245 people. I'm talking about right after I got off stage, I ran up to the booth at 245 and I said, y'all need an educator that's like me because you don't got one. And then before I went to this competition, before I stepped on stage, when I first got there, I was like, they got a ring up there. It's already sized for my finger. I'm going to take it tonight for the main event. And in my head, like, there's a 50-50 chance, you know what I mean? Because I knew that I was going to be on stage with some real some real hitters.
Yeah.
Some people, man, there was people on stage that I had looked up to for years. And so I got on stage super nervous, boom. Fast forward, I won the whole main event. And I went back to 245 booth and I'm like, you can't deny me now. I need a job. And so they were like, okay, well, he did exactly what he said he was going to do. So here's his job. You got your job. Boom. And so that's when I worked with them. And then that's when I learned like YouTube and all that stuff. And that's when my influence got bigger. And then,
amazing.
Yeah. And then the business thing, like I had to stop doing all that for the business. Like I spent a year home after traveling for those 2 straight years. 2020 is when I opened up making in the middle of COVID.
Right.
Yep. And I had to stay. I was stuck for a year. So I had to build up my influence big enough and large enough where if I stayed home for a year, it wasn't going to affect much. Because now, as soon as the barbershops were good and I could step away, boom, I got the sponsorship with the Clipper company. And then I'm not even here for the Clippers, to be honest with you. I'm here for the education that they provide.
Right.
And they're going to give me the ability to teach people, regular people, how to do high-end haircuts.
I just want to say, Jason, your story is amazing. It is so inspiring. You start listening where you are now. So that's what this purpose of this podcast is. You are at a place now that's at the highest level, still growing, still got greater things in you. But where you started at and the things that you have taught us, how your mentality was, growth mindset, opportunity, preparation gives you confidence to walk in any atmosphere, any arena, man, and know that you can do what you've been preparing yourself to do. And you start as a young age, so your story is just totally incredible, man. So before we close, what are some things that you're you feel like in the future of your life, based on what you've learned so far, that you feel like, you know what, I've overcome fears, I'm willing to take on some new challenges?
Yeah, so basically what I want to do is I'm going to franchise my business and I'm going to go have my business and all over the world. I'm going to rebrand it. It's going to be globally recognized all over the world. I'm going to franchise it in almost every state that I possibly can. I'm going to create a consultant company on how you can be the most successful barber that you possibly can be. And then consulting about not just being a barber, but how to start a business.
Yeah.
And because that's huge, like the route that I took to start a business and all the failures that I had because I didn't really have people to help me with the cushionings, there's a lot of hard lessons through that. And I would tell anybody, do not start a business unless you are willing to be broke for 5 years. And if you're not willing to be broke for 5 years, don't start the business because that'd be a bad move.
Yeah.
And so
that's good. You got some great things in you, man.
And I want to. So then they have OMC. There's a competition, best barber in the world. It's called OMC in Paris.
Okay.
Not that I need to go win it because that's not something that really needs to happen for my brand, but I would like to win it just to have that much more.
You need to go win it.
And so like the best barbershop, best barber, best barber in the world, best barbershop in the world. And so we got 3 locations now. Our first location did like 1.4 last year, and so I know that I can take this and blow it up and then make it, and basically, and not just to blow the business up, but I've been able to change so many people's lives just working in the barbershop.
Yeah.
Like this girl, she was a bartender at like Old Charlie's or something, making, I don't know, 30,000 a year or something. Now she works with us. First year, she's gonna make 60 to 70.
That's so good.
And she loves it there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then she got 3 kids, and like she needed that. You know what I mean? And then now she has the freedom to leave whenever she needs to go tend to her kids because of how much money she makes. You know what I mean? It's just those little examples that provide that type of impact that make me, get up out of my bed every day, because I don't want to get up.
Yeah.
To be fair, like I've been doing a lot of work, and like I could like sit down right now and be good and not have to do anything. But then my impact stops, and what I can provide to other people stops, and that means I would only be providing for myself.
Yeah. That's what we want to say. It's a great way to end this podcast is never stop. You got greater things in you. Thank you so much, Jason, for sharing your story. You got so much, man, so inspiring. And then you've taught us so many lessons. How can people follow you, man? Tell us that.
Oh yeah, man. You can follow. My name is Jason Patridge, as he said. You can follow me on Instagram at the Jason Patridge. Just put THE in front of Jason Patridge. You can also find me on TikTok at the Jason Patridge and YouTube. But yeah, come follow me, man. If you have any questions, if you have anything that can help you, inspire you to go to the next level, if there's something that resonated in any of the message that I've given you today, please reach out and let's get on a Zoom call. Let's talk about it. If you're about to quit, please don't quit. Reach out to somebody. Reach out to me. I'd love to talk about it. Let's get it going, man. Success is right around the corner. So, all you got to do is make the choice. And everything in life is about a choice. So.
Yes. I love it. Thank you, Jason. Hey, look, I know you enjoyed this podcast. Make sure you subscribe, like, share. Matter of fact, every audio major platform, you can do it. Download it right now. Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Ready? Next week, another inspiring journey.